Hello, Ugandans. I'm Patricia Namialo. I'm a Unite Here Local 25 representative and leader here in Washington, D.C. that focuses on labor rights and fair workers' rights. And of course, I also dabble as an activist in Uganda, focusing on the People Power movement, working for Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, the next president of Uganda. This is Red Friday. Welcome. If you're not wearing red, please wear some red. It's Red Friday. The color red is so important right now in Uganda, so important that there are actual parties that were fighting over a color. And that just means that we in People Power have the numbers, we have the power, and of course, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu is really the leader of opposition in Uganda. And for those that are wearing red, please take a selfie of yourself, post it on the media platform where you're watching, and then let us go on ahead with our program. So, to start, I'm going to start off with our introductions with the panelists. And I'm going to go on ahead and start with you, Agnes.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone watching. My name is Agnes K. I am based in Boston, Massachusetts. I am a lawyer here. I have a private practice, and I also work for another law firm. I do most of the legal problems, so you can contact me with any legal issues. But we are here for an important matter today. We're here to change our country, Uganda. We're here to discuss all the important things and steps that we can take to get that done. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for tuning in. We are happy to have you here. We look forward to this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Agnes, people can reach you on Facebook. Do you have a Facebook page?
I can be reached on, you can call my office, 978-375-2918. Thank you.
Perfect. And hopefully it will all be People Power related, but if it's not, of course, that is okay too. And of course, as we know, in Uganda, we have Shamim Malende, who has been working for the People Power movement for a very long time, and she works pro bono. She basically does not get paid for the work that she does for the People Power movement. And to you, Shamim Malende, we thank you for all your efforts, and we'll continue to support you. And then we're going to go on ahead and move on to Edward Abili.
Edward Abili is my name. I'm the People Power Coordinator in Texas. Mm-hmm. My profession, I'm a finance person. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edward. Kingsley, please.
Yeah, my name is Kingsley William. I'm based here in Sweden, and I'm a pastor and a teacher of the Word of God. And yeah, I'm just one of you Ugandans who are watching, so I'm really glad to be here. Thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks very much for being with us tonight.
So Kingsley's volume is a little bit low. King, if you can please increase your volume just a tiny little bit, that would be we'll be grateful. But he is a pastor and he is based in Sweden. And so let's start off with some icebreakers. Comrade Agnes, I'm going to start with you. There's so many opposition leaders you can work with, like in direct contact. You know, we have Mugisha Muntu, we have Kizza Besigye, we have Tumukunde. We have so many opposition leaders in Uganda that you can work for. Why Bobi Wine?
I have worked with Bobi Wine because I chose to work with him because I can relate. I can relate to him. I can relate to his conviction, yes, and his purpose. Mm-hmm. He speaks for people who don't have a voice. He's done that through his music. I've been following his music for a long time, since I was a very young child. And we share a purpose. We share something in common, that he wants to better the country, first of all, but he wants to do it with the ordinary Ugandans. I see that Uganda can do much better. I've always felt like that, and that's what he sees. And I know that with him, with him and the right people in the movement, we can move Uganda forward, so far forward. I'm looking forward to that, Uganda.
Perfect. Just like me, you resonate with the fact that he's consistent. You know, his leadership has been very consistent from the beginning. He's been empowering us all from the very beginning, and we are so happy to be here representing him and working alongside him to change the future of Uganda. And so, Comrade Abili, naturally, let me go to you, Comrade Kingsley. Should women look on and let the men fight on their behalf?
Absolutely not. I mean, if you just check your statistics there, we have a lot of women in Uganda. It's the largest portion of the population. So I mean, if you're talking about a battle of numbers, because we're talking about an election, we're talking about a country. You cannot say it cannot be correct that women should sit back and let the men, pick up the mantle, because the men are so few and the women are more, women when it comes to revolutions and movements. If you've been looking across Africa and if you look back into history, women have always had a very pivotal role in revolutions and turning things around. So I think women, just like men, I mean, there's nothing different about women being women and men being men. They're all human beings and they're all Ugandans. Even though they are affected in different ways, that's because of their biological, makeup. But that doesn't really change much. I mean, we really actually, women need to be at the forefront, because if you talk about numbers, we're talking about an election, a game of numbers. Women are way more than men. So that's what I think about it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Comrade Kingsley. Comrade Abili, can you please give us a summary of the events surrounding Bobi Wine's birth date?
Bobi Wine, like any other Ugandan that grew up or has grown up in a society that has been marginalized, you expect such challenges because lack of financial provision for the families. Bobi Wine found himself going to different schools. So unfortunately, because of that issue that is faced by most Ugandans that are not privileged to go to proper schools and to go to school on time, the regime is panicking and has made it an issue. We well know that the NRM regime has a lot of smart people, highly educated people, but unfortunately, these people have used their skills to enrich themselves and to rob the country or to take advantage of the national coffers of the country. And so instead of dealing with such serious issues that affect Ugandans, they are busy concocting issues regarding Bobi Wine's age. Bobi Wine's age is very clear,
yes,
and it's well documented, and it's not an issue. The issue is to find a lasting solution for Ugandans, and that person that will provide that solution is Bobi Wine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it is quite a shame that in a country where we have a dictator that has been in power for over 35 years, that we have Ugandans that are actually so confused. And instead of fighting the dictator, they're actually pointing all their energies on Bobi Wine, the very person that literally almost died for the future of Uganda and continues to put his life at risk for the future of the over 45 million Ugandans. So let us move on to hot topics related to the freedom of our country, Uganda, as we head into 2021 elections. And Comrade Kingsley, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about the fact that all polling station officers all over the country and the electoral commissioner are all from the same region of the country? And what can be done for this to change or to avoid rigging elections?
Well, that's a very interesting, subject when you talk about the election there, because if we're talking
and Comrade King, can you speak up a bit?
Yeah, you hear me now? You hear me clearly?
Your voice is a little bit low.
Okay, I hope it is improved now, but I'll try to get as much close as I can. I was talking about the fact that we're talking about a free and fair election. Now, if you're talking about a free and fair election, and we have the NRM, you know, controlling almost every other aspect of the country. It controls the economy, controls the electoral commission. President Museveni has appointed the electoral commission members, and you know, I mean, he's pretty much everywhere. The regime has got a grip on the whole country. That includes the whole election. Now, if you come looking back at the events as they have been happening, we've never had a free and fair election in Uganda. That has never happened, because that's the same reason that took this government into the bush in 1980, because Obote had rigged an election. So we have never ever had a free and fair election. Now the question comes: is this going to be the first free and fair election? Of course not. Of course not. The government is not willing to make this free and fair at all. We have seen it in the youth elections. You know, people power candidates have been, you know, rounded off and arrested by police and not been allowed to be present in their own, for members to stand behind them. Now that shows you clearly what we're going into in 2021. Now, the thing is, there needs to be a solution. There needs to be a solution that comes up to this, because we're no more going to sit back and say, you know, Museveni has rigged the election, or he's unfair, or stuff like that. And I know that Bobby Wine, just like he surprised us with the party formation of NUP, you know, because everybody didn't know where it was going to come from. Everybody was worried if Bobby Wine is actually ever going to register People Power or even come to the ballot. And he surprised us because he was working underground, making sure he makes all those shortcuts that are necessary to make sure that we're victorious in the end, and we all saw it. So even in the election, I would like to say to Ugandans, register as a voter. Make sure you check the voters register and make sure that your name is there. When election day comes, aside all the drama, make sure you go out and vote in large numbers, If we have this election by 90%, nobody can touch it. Nobody can touch it. And our main motive or goal is to reach this election and vote Museveni out overwhelmingly. Whatever will happen after the election, or whatever is going to happen with these polling agents, because they're all from one region, and that's not going to change. You know, that's not going to change. But what needs to change? The power is in the vote. The power is yours, the voter. Yes, they can all be from one region, but we're not going to change anything about it. We can't push for changes because the time is too late, you know, right now. But the thing we can do as voters, as Ugandans, is to put the power in our vote, is to assert our voices. First of all, talk about these inconsistencies and injustices, but get your vote, sit comfortably, and wait. When it comes election day, get out and vote, and don't leave the polling station until you have made sure that you have voted securely, until you have made sure that the counting is done in a fair way. Do not leave those polling stations. What will happen after the election? We leave that to our principal. He knows best. What I know is that at the end of the day, no matter whether all the polling agents are workers in State House, at the end of the day, Bobby Wine will become president of the Republic of Uganda. How? Let's leave that to him. Let's do our part as voters. Come out overwhelmingly and vote overwhelmingly for NUP everywhere you see the umbrella. Put your vote right there, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Bravo, King. Bravo. That was very, very well put. I love the assertiveness and aggressiveness in your voice. You know, you want change, just like the rest of us. Agnes, what do you think? What goes into your head when you think about Bobby Wine becoming the next president of Uganda?
I see Uganda drastically changing and becoming a country where we all want to live, where we all enjoy living and don't have to live in the diaspora, and we don't have to subject ourselves to racism or subject our children to racism, where we can go home and comfortably have decent health care and decent education, and don't have to run around the world. Ugandans are scattered all over the world. And the smartest Ugandans are not even back home. They're most of them are not back home. They're all over the world, and they would. I see a country where we can all go back and take our skills and our education and our energies and build our country. We do have everything we need to do that. The only thing is that we don't have an environment that nurtures that kind of development. So I'm excited about it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Comrade Agnes. Always a pleasure hearing your thoughts on these different topics. Edward Abili, anything you want to
Yes, I believe that Bobby Wine has the right insight of the leadership that Uganda deserves, more so the leadership of the 21st century that meets the standards of this revolving generation that we are in. And therefore, I urge Ugandans, let's support Bobby Wine. Reason being that Bobby Wine is trying to avoid what the past governments or the evils that the past governments were indulged in, such as tribalism, making people believe that they are different. We Ugandans, we are the same people. It doesn't matter which part of Uganda you come from, we are together. And together we are strong. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Comrade Abili from Texas. And for those that don't know, Comrade Abili is actually one of our coordinators in Texas. And Comrade Abili, the next question is actually going to you as well. The NRM regime recently introduced a policy whereby when one is suspected to have COVID-19, especially people coming from outside of Uganda, they should be 17 hours to be tested. What are your thoughts on
that? First of all, this is not surprising. I wouldn't be wrong to say that corruption starts from the president's bedroom. I mean, the president of Uganda.
Yes.
You can see from his ministers, the people working all under his regime, the different commissions and institutions are just there to extract money from the national coffers to accumulate as much as possible. You know, there's a saying that states that be careful when you send a poor person to your granary, because of their poverty, they're going to take everything because they're not sure of tomorrow. And that is what we are seeing in this regime. They have not done anything for Ugandans. They have mismanaged the country, and therefore any opportunity that comes before them, they will use it to extract money from Ugandans. When COVID-19 came up, different countries donated to Uganda. Uganda gathered more than $400 million. None of that money was distributed to Ugandans. None of that money was used to help Ugandans in any way or form. So that tells you the kind of government we are facing. Regarding about the 240,000 for testing COVID, it's not a surprise when it's the current NRM regime doing that. They have done greater things. They have done greater evils, greater sins. So this does not surprise Ugandans. It does not surprise the media, and neither am I surprised in any way. So I will give reference to the United States. In the United States, testing for COVID is free of charge. If you go to our neighbor Kenya, Tanzania, testing is less than $5. In government hospitals, they are testing for free in those countries. These are fellow African countries, fellow East African countries, and these are our neighbors. So what makes Uganda so special that they need to amass over close to $100 for testing COVID? Does it mean that a poor person in Bushenyi will afford that money? Will a poor person in Karamoja or in Gulu or in Soroti, will they afford that money? Definitely no. So that tells you that this government does not care about the people. All they care about is wealth accumulation. So why would Bobby Wine come into the picture? I'm glad that all this is happening. I'm glad that the NRM regime continues to expose itself every now and then as we go towards the 2021 elections. And so this is a time for Ugandans to reflect upon their country and to reflect and also make decision to which direction they want to see their country go to. And now is the time for them to side with somebody that has been proved to be morally upright. And of course, that's none other than Bobby Wine. So with Bobby Wine's government, we are going to have very strong institutions. We are going to have institutions that are accountable, not only to the president, but to the citizens of Uganda. That's the kind of government that Bobby Wine aspires to bring forward to Ugandans. And now is the time for us to stand with him in all ways, in big numbers, and say no to corruption, say no to corruption to the NRM regime, to the greedy regime that never gets satisfied. You know, the NRM regime is just like a basket. You know, when you pour water in a basket, it can never get full. That's exactly what NRM regime, or you can equate them to hyenas. A hyena, however much meat you give a hyena will never get satisfied.
Yeah.
In Langi, we have a proverb that states that, I'll say it in Langi, then translate it for you. Meaning that during the day, once you hear the hyena cry or the sound of a hyena in your neighborhood, in the night, you have to make sure that your sheep is safe. So right now, the hyena is exposing itself. That is the greedy NRM regime. They're stealing from all corners of the country, all coffers, all revenues that they can come across.
Yes.
They are ready to take it as much as possible. So that's a warning. And now is the time for Ugandans to act like the proverb and protect their sheep in the night. So the night is going to be a 2021 election. Go protect your vote so that we protect our victory and ensure that Robert Chagulanyi is not only elected as president, but also he will come with a good governance system, a system that will promote Uganda to better standards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Abili. Thanks again. Well, you said it seems like the NRM regime is trying to basically take as much money as they possibly can from Ugandans. Could it be that they are actually aware of the fact that their time is running out? Kingsley, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. I think exactly the same as what you just said. Now, I'll just re-echo some of the things that Comrade Abedi has said. I'll give you an example with the money, this loan that the government of Uganda received. Now, you see, this time around they were played. You know, every time they've been applying for loans from IMF, they've been getting them full. You know, they apply for $200 million, they get 200 million. With COVID, because a lot of countries were putting pressure on the IMF, you know, they all wanted money for rescue. Uganda is not the only poor country in the world. So this time they gave it to them in bits. You know, they didn't get $430 million in March. You know, they've been getting 10 million, 20 million, 10 million, 20 million. And clearly, when you look at the problems that this regime has put Uganda into, $10 million is nothing. It would not do anything. That's why up to now, we're not yet fully open. Now, I'll tell you, when it comes to the economy, when we say, like Comrade Abili said, that the NRM has done nothing for Uganda, you know, a lot of people criticize us and they say, how can you say, you know, since 1986, you mean they've done totally nothing? Yes, they've done nothing for the country. They've done everything for themselves.
Yes.
There is a difference between a government doing things for a country and the difference between a government doing things for themselves. They have built schools for their kids to go to. They have built the hospitals where they want to get treated. They, as NRM, not the whole of Uganda. Because when you're building a country, you build systems and structures that are going to outlive your presence, because nobody is omnipotent. At the end of the day, rather, nobody lives forever like God. At the end of the day, they're going to go, they're going to age, they're going to die, but what will remain for the country? I must clearly say here, and quote me really right here, whatever NRM thinks they have achieved for Uganda, of course, it's false. It's going to go with them. Once this government is gone, I mean, look at the schools with this COVID crisis. We have seen the highest level of incompetence of the government with the COVID crisis. This is not even a problem of the COVID sickness. The government of the Republic of Uganda right now is very incompetent. Look at Tanzania. Are we having millions of people dying in Tanzania? They're filling up stadiums. Campaigns are going on. Tanzania decided to take an independent decision. John Pombe Magufuli decided to think with his mind. He decided to have a sound mind. I usually tell Ugandans, you need to have a sound mind. You need to be smart. Leadership is not only about knowledge, it's about wisdom. What the government of Uganda has displayed in this period is lack of wisdom and understanding. Wisdom is given by God. Knowledge is acquired in school. You have to study to acquire knowledge about different things. But wisdom comes from God. Magufuli is not the best scientist in the world, but he worked out in his mind and said, if we all back down and we back down to this sickness, looking at it from a health point of view and not looking at the economy at all, it's going to cost our nation a lot, and our people are going to die eventually, because of economic hardship. This is what's going to happen in Uganda. So the Tanzanians were smart and they let things go on. But look at the government of Uganda. They're considering putting another lockdown on the central business center, which is Kampala City. After a high level of incompetence, not developing every district of Uganda and developing only one part, concentrating their leadership in Kampala alone. Now we're going to suffer, because when Kampala is locked, the whole nation is literally on a lockdown. Is that what you can produce after 35 years in power? The level of incompetence of the NRM government is something that is out of this world. And this is why we're telling you, Ugandans, be smart. This is not the government you want to continue in the leadership of your country. You better get a hold of your vote. You better raise your voices. You better do everything that you can to put this government out of business, to put it out of Uganda for good. Look at the employment levels, for example. Do you have an economy when 80% of your employment, your youth is unemployed? Do you have really an economy? Can Uganda say we have an economy? Recently, I was looking at the statistics produced by the IMF. We are only 2.5% away from hitting our debt limit. That means when we get 50%, we have borrowed 47.5% of our GDP. Now, we cannot loan any more than the 2.5% that is remaining. If we hit the 2.5%, that means we will owe the world 50% of our GDP. Who's that economist called Museveni? What kind of economics is that? If he says he went to Dar es Salaam for economic school, I think that money was wasted, because I'm a basic economist, and you cannot borrow half of what you earn. Because there's no way you're going to pay back, and Ugandans are used as the security. The population of Uganda, you are the security. He says, I have 45 million taxpayers. Give me $400 million. On your backs, he earns money and distributes to his family members, to his Chiziweza, whoever, Cesar and whatever, his cronies out. And this is how your economy is going. And you Ugandans are just looking. I saw Ugandans last time. They were taking porridge, they were being given porridge and were swearing to vote this candidate because he was giving them posho and water mixed with water. I don't even think there was sugar in it, and they were excited over that. The other day, they were showing Ugandans receiving 50,000, putting 1,500 Uganda shillings. That's not even an equivalent of $1 US, to give up their vote, to send their country into more trouble. I think that this is the highest level of incompetence. And if you need somebody to school you about this and you're a Ugandan, I think you seriously got a problem. We need to stand up. We need to rise up. We need to use our minds. Thank you very much. I don't even want to go further than this. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Comrade Kingsley. Thanks again. So you mentioned Tanzania. with Magufuli. Magufuli basically decided that he was going to borrow COVID-19 aid.
Yeah.
Very, very important decision for Tanzania, because you're going to get that money, and if you don't need it, which they did not need it, at least at this particular point, you have to pay this money back, you know? And so as people power, we have been ensuring that the United States understands that the money that you're giving to Museveni is being used. One, the money for ammunition is being used to, ammunition is being used to kill Ugandans. And then, of course, when you look at IMF, which was over $100 million, that money never reached the people. And so Museveni basically uses this money for himself and his family. But then if you leave that alone, we go back to Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara, who was the ex-president of Burkina Faso, ensured that he was not taking financial aid. He wanted his country to develop, and he wanted the people of Burkina Faso to ensure this development through their sway, you know. What do you think, Edward Abili, what do you think of Uganda or African countries taking financial aid from Western world? Is that a good thing? Is that the way forward for Africa? Is that the way forward for Uganda? Can we do it by ourselves? Do we need this money? And if so, how much of it do we need?
Thank you, Patricia. That's a very interesting question. First of all, I definitely agree with most of you that, and I agree with Tom Sankara's policies. Africa does not need aid from the Western world. The Western world needs Africa more than Africa needs them. Africa has got most of the resources that are used to manufacture all this technology that we are seeing today. Mention everything that they need to go to space. Some of the materials are so sophisticated, and you can only find those materials in Africa. So what Africa needs is a good first of all, good policies, leaders that can look out for their country, strong institutions backed up with great policies. I'll give you an example. When George Bush was president, he signed an agreement with African countries, the so-called AGOA agreement, which could allow any African manufacturer that could supply to the US to be able to supply to the US market. That is what Africa needs. Africa needs industrialization. We need to export finished goods, not raw materials. And George Bush gave us that avenue when the AGOA agreement was signed. Unfortunately, because of the poor leadership in Uganda, Uganda only focused on making a few, I think we focused mainly on coffee, and I think we focused on a few textiles, and that was it, and then it died all of a sudden. If you go to Walmart today, you're going to find a lot of clothing, very nice designer clothing that are on the shelves and made in Kenya. Why? Because Kenya took that initiative very seriously. And now Kenya is one of the African countries that has one of the fastest growing economy. In fact, Kenya is far wealthier than a lot of Eastern European countries, just because of good leadership, good systems, working institutions, and taking advantage of trade agreements that actually benefit the country. In Uganda, it is unfortunate that the leadership in Uganda aims at only consolidating power. And so they will do anything, whether it means adopting bad policies in ensuring that they concentrate power into their hands. So one of the strategies that they use is to ensure that there is massive abnormal poverty amongst the population. And so, because they know that a poor population cannot make good decisions, and if you cannot make good decisions, then you cannot advocate for change from bad leadership. And so that is one of the strategies that the NRM regime has used. So Ugandans are not taking advantage of the resources that are in their country. Even if they are to export, they tend to export raw materials. You can imagine even just growing coffee in Uganda, you gotta have a license from the government. You see, that's a bureaucratic system that has been put in place to ensure that the people that do not support the government do not have money in their hands. And that's another form of corruption, to ensure that government decides the prices of coffee instead of going by the world prices. And so then they go make a difference. So in other words, a few people are benefiting on behalf of all Ugandans. And at the end of the day, Uganda suffers as a country. So definitely Uganda needs good policies, good trade policies. And even when we sign good trade policies with big countries, we need a government that will support those policies. And so that's why we need a president that is concerned about the future of Ugandans, the future of Uganda. And when I look at that person, that's Robert Kyagulanyi. His policies are in line with development. His policies are in line with a system that will give Ugandans a very bright future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is definitely very important to, for Africa and for us Ugandans to understand that the Western world basically uses financial aid as a way to enslave Africa, as a way to enslave Uganda. And that is why, even after everything that they have seen Museveni do, kill his people, kill activists, starve his people during COVID-19, lock the country down unnecessarily, they continued to basically fund him. They continue to give him money. There is something that he's doing for them that they would like for him to continue doing for them. And of course, as Ugandans, we say no to that, no to Museveni, and no to Washington, DC, and the United States supporting Museveni. And for those that don't know, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert did write an article about the United States basically supporting Museveni, basically letting them know they needed to put a stop to that. And that article appeared in the New York Times, I believe, about a month and a half ago. And of course, Helen Epstein has also written a book about the support the United States is giving to Uganda. And that book, I believe, is called Another Fine Mess. And that book was written by Helen Epstein. Going back to King. King, you mentioned in your presentation that Ugandans are selling their votes. Comrade Agnes, what do you think about that? What message do you have to Ugandans that are selling their votes?
Thank you. So what I have to say to Ugandans is that if someone steals your wallet, and then as you complain about your wallet getting stolen, if someone gets some change from your wallet and hands it over to you, would you praise that person for being charitable and generous? So that is a question that I pose to you. Museveni and his government have stolen everything we own. They've enriched themselves as people with our money, with Ugandans' money. Ugandans all over the world pay taxes. Ugandans all over the world work their backs off, and he takes in and takes in. We have minerals. We have a lot of resources that he's taking, him and his government, he's taking in. And then when he goes home, he comes to your homes, or when he sends his representatives to come to your home, such as when he sent money to the ghetto and told the ghetto that he can hand them a few bucks to support him. or when he goes to the villages and hands them a few dollars, not even dollars, a few shillings, and tells them to vote for him and support him. I wouldn't understand why people would. It's okay if you take the money, but would you take the money and support the person and praise him for being generous and kind? That money was yours to start with. He's not giving you anything that doesn't belong to you. So Ugandans have to understand that their liberty and their freedom is not for sale. Their voices are not for sale, and that these are things that are too expensive to buy. And this money that he's using to buy them is their money. So again, I'll go back to the same question I started with. If I take your money and hand you a quarter, I hand you a 500 shillings coin and say, here you go. Now take a border and go home. Would you consider me a generous, charitable person because I took your wallet and took all the money and gave you order so you can go home and see your kids and attack them into bed hungry? We have to understand where we have to put everything into the bigger picture and understand he didn't come with money. He didn't arrive into Uganda with bags of money that he's using every month to hand out. This is our money. These are our resources. And so Ugandans should stop. It's okay if you take the money and buy sugar for your kids, but stop selling yourselves, stop selling your souls, stop selling your children down the drain. So you're selling your children down the drain that you live in poverty and your children are going to inherit poverty, and your grandchildren. Stop selling Uganda to Museveni once more. Let's take let's take our country back. Let's lead it to where we want it to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Comrade Kingsley, based on what Comrade Agnes has just said, she's telling Ugandans, do not sell your vote to someone that's actually stealing from you. What is People Power promising these people that Ugandans that they should look forward to, whereby they understand that it's actually better for them to keep their vote and get this promise?
Thanks very much, Comrade. I think in reflection to what Comrade Agnes has been saying, the issue is straight and clear. Just get the statistics and look at it. Uganda has a 70% poverty rate. Only thanks to God that we have fertile soils, that in Uganda you cannot lack food to eat. But that's because God gave us a beautiful land which has fertile soils. But 70% of Ugandans are poor. Now, this is what it is. Uganda needs to restart its economic engine, which is almost collapsing under the Museveni regime. Uganda needs a new leadership to restart the economic engine. Uganda needs a leadership that's going to put policies and institutions, that give a fair ground for every Ugandan to make it good for themselves in life. Now, this leadership we're talking about is the leadership under the NUP, the leadership under Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. First of all, it is going to introduce policy reform. You have heard about the 5 major things that Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, who is the next president of Uganda, has pointed out as his starting points once he gets government. There's some key issues there I want you to note when it comes to the economy. He wants to make sure that Uganda's resources are productive, and when they're productive, every Ugandan benefits from it. Resources goes exactly from land, what is under that land, and whatever Uganda has to offer, both naturally and in terms of human resource. He wants to tap this resource because Uganda is rich in resources. We're not a poor country. I've never said Uganda is a poor country. Uganda has poor citizens, but it's a rich country. If you get those resources and put them under a correct system, you will have the system run automatically. When you come to government and create jobs, you have the economy jump starting. I'll give you an example. Since the COVID lockdown started, we've had the president addressing the nation from his state house in Entebbe. He was making the trek recently, just before COVID. He went around the country, but in the lockdown, he's pretty much been in his home. meeting a few people and meeting his cabinet and, doing everything from his home. Now, Uganda don't need a leader like that. Look at Donald Trump. He's 75 years old. He's probably older than Museveni. Of course, much more fit, and much more healthier. You can see it when he stands up tall. When he makes his statements, he makes them with, sounding, he's really a sound man. This old man has been moving all across America, trying to jumpstart the economy because he's an accountable president. He's a president who is the president of the people. He has had to go to literally every part of America, meeting business owners, meeting traders, meeting every company, meeting all people from all walks of society to energize them, to encourage them, to tell them, guys, we can do this. We can pull our nation back. This we have not seen in our Ugandan president, who claims, you know how he shows us his fitness? He goes to his room and makes push-ups, and Ugandans clap for that. What a nation. What a people. I mean, who in this 21st century still falls for that crap? Look at, the way you show a nation that you are active is not by making push-ups when youth don't have jobs. At least we know you're not going to give us the jobs anyways, because you don't have, the government don't have the competence to turn things around after 35 years of sinking the country in poverty. This is what you do. At least go around the country. Meet the traders, meet the companies in every different district of the country. Try to energize them, encourage them that we're in this together. I'm going to do everything in my power as your president to lift you up, to help your businesses, capitalize banks, get the money from the IMF and capitalize banks. Let them provide loans. Let businesses start to operate safely, begin to reopen the country safely. But he's, this man is just in his retirement age, sitting in the State House and, just saying he's replying to Facebook messages. We don't need answers on Facebook. We need answers in action on economy. When we say that we don't have jobs, we need you to come out and say, this week we created 2,000 jobs. That's going to help 2,000 Ugandans. You got to come out every day and tell us how many jobs your economy has added. That's what a president does. Not just sit in the State House and begin to answer with history. We're tired of history. We can study history. We know the history of Uganda and even the history of America. There's nothing new that you're going to tell us. We have internet. We have social media. We can know everything we wanted to know in the past, but he's wasting Uganda's time, because we're clearly not his generation. This is 21st century, and the government of Uganda is being led like, we're in the 17th century. It's like we're still in Stone Age. The people of Uganda cannot access internet in many parts of the country, and we're all here shouting on the internet that is all only in Kampala district, and major city centers, just a fraction of a population. That is not how a president runs a country. This is why we're saying when Bobby Wine's government comes, the very first thing it's going to do is to decentralize power, is to empower Ugandans. Yes. Through policy, to create policies that are population-oriented, policies that empower its citizens. Because when you empower the citizens of a country, leadership is not hard. The country runs itself. This is what's happening in Sweden. Every one of us is empowered. I don't feel a privilege shaking the prime minister's hand here in Sweden because he doesn't pay my bills. He has put the fair environment so I can work and pay my own bills. So I don't hold him in very special regards, even if I love him. And I don't even care if they don't elect him tomorrow and they elect another government. This country has made systems that no matter who's in government, the country is going to be rich. No matter what policy comes in, they have laid down foundations for their country. This Museveni has not done for Uganda. He has not done none of this. That's why we need to put out his system, bring Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. He's going to call all Ugandans on board from all the different walks, from all the different countries with all their different skills and put them to work such that they empower Ugandans so that we don't no more have to call upon the president, oh, president, give us this, president. No, that's not what we're supposed to do. When you lack a job, you're supposed to walk to a certain office in the district where you are and say, this is my problem. I need a job. These are my qualifications. Now, because the government has put a fair ground, and put all the facilities that you need, you can be able to get help where you are. Not everything has to go to State House. That's the leadership that Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu He's going to bring. Of course, it's a wide thing. I can't explain it all here. But the thing is, that's the basic foundation. He's going to bring leadership back to the people. The policy that NUP has is to empower Ugandans, is to put leadership back to the people, the power and authority as granted by the Constitution back to the people, so that they can live and lead their own lives. That way, government is automatic. The people govern themselves. When you educate the people, when you empower them to work, they gain middle income status, the economy rises, and things work themselves out. You just need to sit and draft more policies and monitor and do supervision while things run themselves. That's how a good country is run, not the system of everything Museveni, you're kneeling down for Museveni and stuff like that. No, this is not about Museveni. We're talking about our country. He's going to be out tomorrow. What's going to happen to Uganda when he's out? What's going to happen to our kids? What's going to happen to our grandkids? That's our beautiful motherland, and we're seeing it sink down. So that is why we remind you, everybody, look at this with a keen eye. See the future of your country. When you see Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, we're only not talking about Bobby Wine or Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. He represents over 45 million Ugandans. This is you. This is your voice. And we want him to come into government as a leader, that he may select a government that works for you, that works to put foundations for every Ugandan citizen and their children and their grandchildren to enjoy their homeland, to enjoy their motherland. Plus,
Okay.
diaspora coming back home. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kingsley. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate that. Again, I work for Unite Here Local 25, and 2 weeks ago, I sat on a panel with the governor of Virginia. In Virginia, we have so many resources, but as a citizen, I was on panel with the governor, telling him that we needed more resources during COVID-19 to ensure all Virginia workers, the clientele, the businesses were protected. But then again, about Uganda, where we are, I hope that a time will come when our children will sit with people like Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, when there's already things that he has put in place, and say, hey, we need more, because there's always room for improvement. And so I'm going to move on to Comrade Edward Abili. You are a coordinator in Texas. Tell us, what is content and fundraising? You being that you're in Texas, talk about the diaspora in general.
Yeah, so regarding fundraising, I've mentioned it in previous talk shows that Robert Kyagulanyi is competing against a gentleman, or against a system that is using the national resources to run a campaign. And when I meant by that, I meant the NRM regime using taxpayers' money. And therefore, Robert Kyagulanyi raising the funds that would facilitate the campaigns internally is close to impossible. And therefore, that's where the diaspora comes in. And so the diaspora has been buying the NUP cards at $50 in different countries. And so we encourage Ugandans, those that cannot come up and speak against the injustice in the system in Uganda, at least you can go ahead and make a contribution by buying yourself a NUP membership card. You can also make any other form of donation through the People Power website. And then we have telephone numbers that have been designated. I'm sure Patricia will mention those telephone numbers. That's another form that we can support the struggle, so that the NUP candidates are able to traverse the country, meet the voters, be able to get to radio shows and TV shows and talk about the good things that they're going to do for Uganda, so that come 2021, the electorates are aware of who to vote. So all that will be possible through donations and funding. Thank you. Patricia, you're muted.
Yes, thank you very much. So the diaspora has been doing such an excellent job when it comes to fundraising. And I'm curious to find out, I know Agnes is from Boston, and of course the leader of the diaspora, who is Haman Ainebiona, is also from Boston. Can you please share with us what you've done in Boston in terms of fundraising to keep the movement strong on the ground?
Thank you. So we have different fundraising initiatives. We have a biweekly Zoom meeting that takes place every other Sunday. We had it last Sunday, so we won't have it until mid-September. But there is a link that if you can comment, I'll be able to send you a link for those interested. That meets and fundraises as much as we can towards the movement. The most important thing right now going on is we have a barbecue, drive-through barbecue that is scheduled for this Saturday, September 5th, tomorrow actually, and that is being organized by the entire team. I'm on the legal team, so I'm not really the leader here. We have our leader, Dorothy Stewart, and she's amazing. She's working with a lot of people, a group of people, and organizing this drive-through barbecue where you can drive by, buy your NUP cards, and buy some food towards fundraising. That's going to be in Waltham. People who know. Who live in Massachusetts know where Momiti is. So it's going to be Momiti. I don't know what the address is, but everybody in Massachusetts knows Momiti. So we're going to be meeting there. There's going to be lots of food, lots of meat, and lots of pictures. Come get your cards and fundraise towards the movement. There are other things going on. You can. We will have to get back to you on that. But there are always fundraising meetings and initiatives going on in Massachusetts.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Comrade Agnes. Of course, you can fundraise. There's so many different ways you can fundraise: crowdfunding. You can have a car wash. You can fundraise at a church. I mean, the different avenues of fundraising are endless. You can fundraise for your family. You yourself can give a donation through the People Power Movement at www.peoplepower.org.ug. And of course, you can also send mobile money to Daniel Oyeward. The number is 011-256-703-6363. And so, moving on, I'm going to give you a very important announcement. Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, the next president of Uganda, is going to be live with the diaspora, addressing the diaspora. This is going to be on Zoom. And the meeting, this is going to be on Sunday the 6th, September, this month. So 2 days from now. The meeting ID for Zoom is 855-8481-6573. 855-8481-6573. And then, of course, you're also going to need a password. Give me one moment. And the password is 66011. 66011. This is on Sunday, the 6th, this month, basically this Sunday. And it is going to be at 5 p.m. Ugandan time. So now you have to find out what 5 p.m. Ugandan time is. Wherever you are all invited. We can't wait to engage with you. And then, of course, if you want more updates to find out what's happening in People Power, there's lots of different platforms. You can follow me, Nyalo, follow Ainebiona, follow Kingsley, Agnes, Edward Abili, a coordinator from Texas, and of course, Ekyoto gives lots of updates too about what's happening within the People Power movement and different events you can expect for people living in Washington, D.C. We're going to have our event on the 26th of this month, and it is going to be at 1 p.m. You can reach out to myself or Karim Tambi, who's the coordinator in Washington, D.C., to find out more information on that. And with that said, this has been Red Friday, discussing hot topics, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, NUP, People Power, and of course, the youth that are fighting on behalf of the People Power movement. And so, Comrade Agnes, Comrade Kingsley, Comrade Edward Abilis, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. And we would like to thank Ekyoto for hosting us today. We really appreciate your professionalism and your zeal. And of course, we have a gentleman on tech. I'm just going to address him by his first name since I didn't already talk to him about this. And that's Geoffrey. Geoffrey, we really thank you for what you have done for us today. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Continue supporting the People Power movement. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.